Hey everybody, welcome back to another StaticCast gaming video. Today is Sunday, December 20th, 2020. I hope everyone had a good day and a good weekend so far. Today I wanted to talk about some gaming news topics. First I wanted to go over kind of a recap of what's been going on with Cyberpunk 2077, as well as the latest developments surrounding that game. And also, there's been a lot of talk lately over the past couple days about Target possibly dropping with PS5 and Xbox Series consoles, and I wanted to talk about that. Third, I wanted to have a frank conversation regarding the chances of purchasing a next-gen console in general. And fourth, I wanted to talk about, there's been some discussion of lawmakers in the UK moving to make reselling consoles and PC components at prices greatly above MSRP illegal, and how Walmart is asking everyone on our end to, try to get our lawmakers to, I guess, if not do the same thing, at least take action against bots and scalpers. And also, I wanted to talk about the effect scalpers are actually having on the gaming industry in general, because there apparently are some numbers that are indicating that they actually are hurting the console and gaming development industry. So let's get started. First, we all know how horrible the Cyberpunk 2077 drop was. I mean, when that game was released, it was almost instantly met with customers complaining about bugs and glitches, especially on the PS4 and Xbox One consoles. But people even using PC and the next-gen consoles were also complaining. So that ended up leading to Sony removing the game from their store completely and issuing refunds. Microsoft shortly followed by also issuing refunds. Even though they don't seem to have taken it down from their store, they're still issuing refunds. The Cyberpunk 2077 developers actually expressed frustration to the board, regarding their mandatory overtime and the deadlines that were unreasonable and things like that. Also, CD Projekt Red stock drops and it loses roughly $1 billion. That's apparently not like a record drop for them, but it's still pretty bad. And then CD Projekt Red is possibly now facing a class action lawsuit. And also, it turns out your save file on PC may be corrupted if it gets over 100 megabytes in size, because you have too many items in your inventory, or you've crafted too many items. So those last two are actually, I think, the most recent news, is the save file and the fact that they're possibly facing a class action lawsuit. As far as fixing some of the issues, Cyberpunk 2077 says that hotfix 1.05 has been made available from what I can tell, all platforms, including PC, and we'll go over that. But first I wanted to talk about what the employees were concerned about, because I think if you haven't heard this already, it might be good to know a couple of the concerns that some of their employees had. I'm sure that there were a lot of them there that were probably keeping their mouths shut just because they're team players and they didn't want to complain and get in trouble or anything. But there's always going to be some that will voice their opinion, and then with their company that they work for being in the news and all this negative attention that they're getting, they probably took an opportunity to speak up. And according to this Bloomberg article, this is basically what some of them had to say. I'll leave the links to this in the description. But it says here, during Cyberpunk 2077's development, staff endured multiple periods of extensive overtime, including mandatory 6-day weeks to finish the game, Bloomberg has reported. When asked about this crunch time in the Q&A, the director said they had plans to improve production practices in the future, but didn't elaborate, according to one person who was there. One employee asked the board why it had said in January that the game was complete and playable, when that wasn't true, to which the board answered that it would take responsibility. Another developer asked whether CD Projekt's directors felt it was hypocritical to make a game about corporate exploitation while expecting that their employees work overtime. The response was vague and non-committal. Many industry observers have wondered why Cyberpunk 2077, which was first announced in 2012 and was delayed 3 times in 2020, still appears to be unfinished. Several current and former staff who worked on Cyberpunk 2077 have all said the same thing. The game's deadlines, set by the board of directors, were always unrealistic. It was clear to many of the developers that they needed more time. So this basically just confirms what everyone was suspicious of all along. It was just internally really mismanaged, and considering how much time they had, it's really no excuse for that. But that being said, at this point, there's this article here on dualshockers.com that kind of talks about, this was just put up yesterday on December 19th in the evening. But it says here that CD Projekt Red seems to be facing another major issue concerning Cyberpunk 2077, a possible class action lawsuit from those in Warsaw. And it says here, a new article from the New York Times, which it has a link here, features not only an intricate deep dive into Cyberpunk 2077's entire pre- and post-launch saga, but quite the damning final paragraph. According to the piece, CD Projekt Red could be facing a major class action lawsuit, and then it actually takes an excerpt from that article, which I did take a look at, by the way. It's really extensive. You should probably take a look at it. I'll put the link in the description. But it says, the immediate future looks dark for Cyberpunk's makers, perhaps even darker than the future they built in Night City. Refund requests are pouring in by the thousands. Lawyers and investors in Warsaw are circling the situation, contemplating a class action lawsuit against the company for potential criminal misrepresentation in order to receive financial benefits, according to a regulatory filing. Many gamers are swearing off playing Cyberpunk entirely until the company fixes all the problems. And this is the statement from said regulatory filing. In connection with the recent events, and in particular the suspension of the sale of the Cyberpunk 2077 product, we are currently analyzing together with the law firm's team the grounds for bringing a class action together with the notification of the possibility of committing a crime under Article 286 of the Penal Code, misrepresentation in order to obtain financial benefits. So this sounds pretty serious. I mean, a lot of times when you hear class action lawsuits, on the consumer's end, you don't think much about it because people always end up getting something like maybe $20 or some small amount, depending if you get included in that, depending on how many people are in there. But as far as the company, it's definitely going to cost the company. So CD Projekt Red has to be pretty nervous right now, and I'm sure they're in contact with their legal department regarding this to see how they can possibly get out of this. And I'm assuming one of them is to try and patch the game as quickly as possible. But this is actually a pretty good article, and they have links for all their sources here. So if you look at this page, you'll be able to go and click these links and go to the full, their sources and read everything if you want to. But this is definitely pretty serious. Now, on that note, it looks like something that was just put up today, the 20th, when I look at this Forbes article, talks about it looks like this seems to be affecting only PC at this moment, but it was discovered that Cyberpunk 2077 on PC apparently can have corrupted save files if they reach 8 megabytes or greater in size. And if you look at this article, which again, I'll put the link to it in the description, it says, apparently PC save files are getting corrupted when they get too big, causing major headaches for players with a propensity for picking up items. Your Cyberpunk saves will become corrupted and unrecoverable if they reach 8 megabytes in size. Basically, if you craft too many things, it seems to be affecting people with a lot of hours who have been crafting loads of, to make money. But how's this for a response from CD Projekt? And then it has a link there. It says the save file size limit must be increased. It says the save file size limit might be increased in one of the future patches, but the corrupted files will remain that way. Since the now I don't know who's typing this. It says there's been an official response to the CD Projekt Red owned GOG support center, and it's not particularly encouraging. There's nothing to do about this bug right now except picking up less stuff and keeping copies of your saves in order to try to skirt around things. Unfortunately, the save is damaged and can't be recovered. Please use an older save file to continue playing and try to keep a lower amount of items and crafting materials. Long story short, until they actually announce that they're going to fix this, you probably want to be careful and not craft too many things and check the size of your save files. If they get close to being 8 megabits, you probably want to stop and create a new save file or something. But between this and the stuff that's already happened with this game, it's just basically a disaster. I still have my copy on Xbox Series X, and I'm still going to continue playing it for now. I haven't tried to get a refund or anything as of right now. That being said, this hotfix that they have, this was just posted on cyberpunk.net yesterday, December 19th, 2020. And I'm not going to go over this entire list. It's pretty long. But just to kind of go over some of the sections here, it says hotfix 1.05 is now live on PC, Xbox, and PlayStation systems. Here's the full list of changes, and the top section deals with quests. I'll read the first few. Jackie will no longer disappear in the pickup or the heist. Fixed an issue preventing players from landing the helicopter in Love Like Fire. Fixed an issue with Takamura not calling in Play It Safe. And you could keep going on. It looks like there's an extensive list here. I mean, it's not the longest list in the world, but it does look like there's, a good amount of things that were fixed. Gameplay improved the reaction times of NPCs taking cover, corrected the number of shots needed to kill civilians from a distance while in combat. And there's a number of visual changes, which I won't go over them all. Like here's the second one I'll read. V's mouth doesn't stay open after entering the space lock in Where Is My Mind? So I'm not sure what that's about because I didn't get to that part yet. So, but you could continue to read on here. It looks like they fixed some user interface, like 3 different user interface problems. Like here's one, fixed an issue with weapon crosshair persisting on screen. Performance and stability, multiple stability improvements, including crash fixes. They don't really go into detail there. Miscellaneous off-screen explosions make noise now. And then they do have some PC-specific fixes here, which I don't see anything about the save files in this list at the moment. I'm sure that'll be one of the things that they're going to work on fixing. It looks like they have some processor issues that were addressed, which sounds promising. Ray trace reflections should no longer seem too bright in comparison to the environment. So there are some things that they, tried to fix on PC. And then there's also some console specific issues that they went through and corrected. Obviously you can look at this, when you get a chance and go over them all. And if you actually have decided to keep the game and not get a refund, then you can post in the comments if you notice anything any problems you ran into before, if they actually did indeed fix them, if it's improved the performance or the stability of the game, and if it actually made the playing experience better for you, then let me know in the comments. Moving on to the next topic I wanted to discuss was Target. If you've read any articles like this or watched any videos lately the past couple of days, there's been some rumors surrounding Target restocking next-gen consoles and possibly going live. It looks like this update, I'm looking at this on this website here, what's it, spieltimes.com. I'll put the link in the description. But there was an update here on December 18th. Our source says the Target's website will go live with the next-gen consoles for order on Sunday, December 20th, starting at 3 a.m. You'll have to order online and go pick up your console from the stores, blah, blah, blah. As many of you may already know, that did not happen. So, as it says up here, Target has another potential drop/restock for the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series XS consoles coming up very soon. According to sources, we're hearing they could drop between December 21st and 22nd. So if there was no drop today, there's still rumors going on that they could be doing some kind of a drop this week before actual Christmas comes. And I guess that makes sense. I'm kind of thinking that there might be one last drop before the holidays, from at least one or more retailers, especially PlayStation Direct. So, at the end of the day, you're just going to have to try and keep an eye on everything. Even if Target does go live, what is the chance that you're actually going to be able to come away and get a console? Since these consoles have been released, we have all done so much to try and be on top of this. You hear so many YouTubers, there's been so many articles online giving tips and tricks and things that you can do to try and increase your chances of getting the consoles. We, follow the Twitter accounts to get notifications. We use inventory checkers like BrickSeek and PopFinder. We try to get inside scoops on people that might know someone that works at the store, to let us know when things are going to get restocked. People have tried waiting outside the stores all night long in the freezing cold, and it's just going on and on. And there have been some people that have come away and been fortunate to actually get the console that they wanted, sometimes even more than one. Now, is that the norm though? No. I myself was able to get an Xbox Series X. I was able to pre-order it. And when I did that, I actually did it from Walmart.com. And the only reason why I got it is because for some unknown reason, people just didn't go there. Walmart did the same thing that they had been doing. They had actually announced the date and the time the pre-orders were going to go live. And for some reason, no one knew about it, or they just didn't care, because everyone was going to GameStop, Amazon, Best Buy, and they were flooding those websites to the point where the stuff that's happening now, where you can't even, add an item to your cart, that's what was happening there. But that wasn't happening at Walmart. I actually sat there and goofed around and looked at the payment options for 11 minutes. That tells you right there that nobody was going on Walmart's site at that time. I had 11 minutes that I wasted doing nothing, and I still put it in my cart. I got an Xbox Series X, put it in my cart, and I paid for it with no problem. So I had no issue at all. But that is the only reason why, is because no one was going on the site. I don't know why, but after people realized that Walmart was, a big retailer that was included in offering these consoles, and people were securing them, after that day, it was all over. I haven't been able to return to Walmart since and get anything as far as with the PS5. And unfortunately, it's been that way for pretty much every other retailer. Now with PlayStation Direct, it actually says when you first get put into the queue, or before you get put into the queue, the message actually says that when the queue starts, you'll be put in a random spot in the queue. So at least that means that technically it's not going to always be like a first come, first serve basis with PlayStation Direct. The queue could start, you could be last in line and possibly get moved up to the front. Now, my personal experience with PlayStation Direct is unfortunately every time I've gone in there, it said I had over an hour to wait. From what people are saying, the ones that are actually getting the console, or the PS5, I should say, from PlayStation Direct, is that when the queue starts, it's usually going to say 30, that you have 30 minutes or less in the queue right from the very beginning. So basically, if you get in the queue and it says, an hour, you most likely are not going to get the console, unfortunately. So in general, the main thing the point that I want to get across is that there's no reason for anybody to drive yourself bonkers and lose your mind over this anymore if you have. Even I have gotten to the point where I was starting to get so deep into it that I was losing hours of sleep. I was standing outside. I myself have stood outside of Walmart when they were letting people get consoles. I was literally outside a couple nights, in the freezing cold, and I was not able to get anything because there just wasn't enough stock. I've stayed up waiting for other retailers like Target and Best Buy to go online because people were saying that they'd go online at 1 o'clock in the morning or 3 o'clock in the morning or 5 o'clock in the morning. I've stayed up waiting, and either nothing happened at all, or if it did, you try to get in there and there's just such a huge flood of people, you can't get anything anyway. You can't add items to your cart, or the websites crash or something like that. So, the honest truth about it is that you probably have, it's one of those things where you have a greater chance of probably hitting the lottery than you do getting a console right now. It's just something that you have to mentally prepare for and not really get your hopes up too high. And you have to accept the fact that you may have to wait. There's going to be a lot of people that might be trying to get it, or at least get it ordered, before December 25th. And the truth is that there's going to be a lot of people, probably, in the thousands or tens of thousands of people, that are not going to be able to get it by then. And you just have to accept that. If you do, then at least you won't be let down as hard when you're not able to get it. Now, am I saying to just give up? Some people have already said that they want to just give up and they're waiting until next year, and that's fine. Good for you for, not playing this stupid game anymore. Because I sure feel like that too myself. But the way I feel is that I'm not going to really do anything extreme at this point. I'm not going to sit here and stay up all night or go outside in the cold all night long. I'm not going to do anything extreme. If I happen to get a tweet that says that PlayStation Direct's got a queue or Amazon's got a queue, then yeah, I could do that right from my couch or from my desk and just use my phone and go there if it's not going to be too much of a bother. I'll try something simple like that. But that's as far as I'm willing to go at this point. I'm not going to get extreme and stay up for days and hours. And, the inventory checkers at this point are pretty much useless. So, my message to everybody that's watching is just don't get your hopes up too high. For everybody that did get their console that they want, I'm extremely happy for you. But I think we all have to admit that it's just, unless you're using a bot, anyone who's got one, it's because they were, it was just an extremely fortunate circumstance for them. It's not the norm. It's not something that's happening. The majority of people are not getting them, and they're not even getting a chance to add these things to their carts because of the sheer number of people trying, and also the bots. When you figure out all the real legitimate traffic plus the bot traffic, you really don't stand a chance. The average person is not going to stand a chance getting in there that's trying to get on their computer or on their phone. I've heard of people trying to use backlinks and, special links to possibly get in. Sometimes they may or may not work. They're not guaranteed either. Because again, you're always facing the traffic and the bots and all the people. It's just too many people, not enough consoles. There's more accessories than there are consoles. You could go in there right now and buy extra PS5 controllers or Xbox Series X controllers and cameras and all these accessories, and there's plenty of games, but then there's not enough consoles. So, it's just hopefully something where, going into next year, they're going to be able to stock more. If they can get more stock, then people are just going to be able to shop like normal and order them. And hopefully that's going to be the case. But I just wanted to get that out of the way, because I know there's a lot of people that have been stressing over this and letting it get to them, and it's just not worth it. You got to save your sanity at some point. So now that being said, Walmart has actually, as of December 15th, put up this article that this was written by Jerry Geisler, Chief Information Security Officer, Walmart Global Tech. And he says here that regarding the steps that we've taken are working as intended. This is what he says. One bot preventative action we implemented just hours before the PlayStation 5 event on November 25th blocked more than 20 million bot attempts within the first 30 minutes alone, which is a fraction of what our systems deal with continually. As an additional step, we also audit and quickly cancel any orders confirmed to be purchased by bots that may have slipped through. As a result, the vast majority of our next-gen consoles have been purchased by legitimate customers, which is exactly what we want. It says we have more next-gen consoles coming online soon, and we're continuing to work hard to get them into the hands of as many customers as possible. We hope others across the retail industry will join us by asking lawmakers to do more to prevent these unwanted bots and on retail sites, so customers have equal access to the products they want. Now, part of this honestly sounds like they just, that this is PR, because I think Walmart wants people to know that they actually have, a heart and they're not evil, and that they want to get these products into the hands of their loyal customers. This is something that you kind of expect them to put out with all the backlash that they're getting, and, their employees getting accused of hoarding and the PS5 and Xbox Series X stocks for themselves, and, things like that. They're getting a lot of bad press. So a lot of this feels like it's just, PR, and they're trying to say what we want to hear. And as far as the actual numbers here about what they may have blocked, we don't see any hard data. There's nothing that we could see that really shows that that's true. And the truth is that there's not even enough consoles for sale. I mean, you really expect me to think that there's 20 million consoles out there? No, there's not. So I don't know, how there would be 20 million bot attempts. It might just be because if they were getting blocked, maybe they tried again. I don't know. But the thing is, if you go to Walmart's website, these consoles are still out of stock. So, if they canceled so many orders, then why didn't they restock and sell them again? I didn't see anything that popped up and said that they were going to start selling orders that were canceled because they were ordered by bots. So you got to take all this with a grain of salt. But the one thing I do see here that that is undeniably true is where they talk about how they hope that we all kind of join in. And it's, where it says we hope others across the retail industry will join us by asking lawmakers to do more to prevent these unwanted bots on retail sites, because that actually is true. Whether, I don't know, you could look at that as kind of a cop out, where they're kind of just blaming it on the bots, but, maybe they should be doing more to block out the bots. They're saying they're doing more, but I don't know how effective it really is. But one thing that's true is that there probably do need to be laws against this. When you look on this article here for PCGamer.com, it says, it mentions, it kind of reiterates what we were hearing about early, I think it was last week, it says here, 6 Scottish National Party politicians have put forward a motion for consideration in UK Parliament to prohibit the resale of games, consoles, and PC components at prices greatly above MSRP, and the resale of goods purchased using automated bots to be made illegal in these fair aisles. Now, I don't know what the latest update on this is, but it seems like they're officially trying to actually get something passed to where, if it does get agreed upon, then this could become a reality for those living over in the UK. It says the motion has no set date for debate in the Commons and is what is known as an early day motion. These don't often receive much love in Parliament, often due to the sheer number of early day motions going at any one time, but they are used to highlight specific issues present in society. That's hardly indicative of sweeping change in the near future, but it's better than nothing. So who knows what's going to come of that? But over here, I don't think, anyone's even at least tried to get something going. I think everybody kind of needs to unite as far as lawmakers in different countries to make this a reality moving forward. And hopefully something gets done in 2021 regarding that, just to, because if people are going to be doing more shopping online and, who knows how successful these vaccines are going to be. I don't know when things are going to be totally normal again, where people are just out and about like we used to be. But, this is something that does need to be addressed. So let me know what you think in the comments about that. Do you agree that, we need to kind of make this stuff illegal moving forward? And, maybe that'll help with online sales. Because at this point, once this is all over, there's not going to be another console sale probably for the same amount of time, for like another 5, to 7 years. Who knows? So, that might not seem like a long time, but, it's definitely a long time. It's long enough for people to forget about what's happening right now. If you give it enough time, people will start to kind of calm down and kind of forget. And then, or maybe they get distracted by other things that come up that they have to take care of. But, I think while this is all fresh in our minds, people need to probably push to, get something like that made illegal to help make it easier for everybody moving forward. And another thing that scalpers and bots are doing is, according to articles like this, there's actually some numbers indicating that that they're actually hurting software sales. So basically, I'll put this article, the link to this in the description, but on this article on GameRant.com, it says PS5 scalpers are hurting software sales. It says sales figures suggest that scalpers are having an effect on physical PlayStation 5 software as well, which could affect the business in the long term. It says while the PlayStation 5 has been an undeniable financial success for Sony, in fact, it has had the biggest console launch of all time, its launch has been unfortunately mired by scalpers who were able to acquire large quantities of the console and sell them to desperate consumers for more than double the standard retail price. Between the scalping issue and the limited supply of PS5 consoles, the launch has certainly been rough for many people, but now it transpires that scalping could have negative consequences on the business itself. According to a Bloomberg report, figures in Japan show that PS5 software sales are unusually low. It says, while Sony is believed to have sold 213,000 consoles within the PS5's first month, only 63,000 physical games were sold, which means consumers were buying less than one game for every 3 consoles. When a brand new console launches, software sales are considered extremely important, especially if that console is being sold at a loss like the PS5. So basically, since regular consumers are unable to acquire a PS5, they have no reason to purchase games for it. Analyst Hideki Yasuda adds that even if digital software sales were taken into account, the percentage of PS5s that have been sold are actually being used isn't particularly high. Due to the aforementioned scalpers, another analyst says that the lower than unusual software sales could negatively affect profitability over the coming years. It says it should be noted that there are other factors that have likely played a part as well. For starters, with some PS5 games also released on PS4, example Spider-Man Miles Morales, some consumers have probably simply chosen to buy the PS4 version since they don't need to purchase a new console. Thus, the PS5 is backwards compatible, meaning there are probably several people who had no interest in the PS5's launch titles and bought it just to play upgraded PS4 games. What's more, there is a version of the console that only plays digital games, which obviously would affect physical software sales. Hopefully, Sony will be able to make the PS5 more readily available sooner rather than later. Its own PlayStation Direct website is possibly the best way to acquire a console directly from Sony, and it's believed to be coming to Europe as well. In the UK, politicians are now calling for action against scalpers. Members of the Scottish National Party have suggested that the reselling of goods that have been purchased using automated bots be made illegal, which is what we just talked about. So, the truth is, basically, at the end of the day, with scalpers actually getting PS5s and then trying to sell them at such high prices that people really can't buy them, the consoles end up just sitting there. So, which means that there's less consoles in customers' hands, which means that there's less people out there that are buying games. So it doesn't, you might not take it seriously now, but imagine if that were to continue, eventually it is going to affect the gaming industry, because it's going to, the developers aren't going to be making any money. And the console creators like Sony and Microsoft, it's going to hurt them too. So, the truth is that something really does need to be done. Something needs to be done about scalping and bots. I mean, not only has it made everything it's made shopping a nightmare for consumers like you and I, but it's also, it's also now showing to, affect sales numbers, for software developers, game developers. So, that could have a big impact. And as we could see with what's happening with Cyberpunk, if things start going wrong internally with game developers, it just cascades and everything falls down like dominoes. I mean, who knows how bad things can really get. But I don't want to see that. I want to see people happy that they're able to get the consoles they want, they're able to get the games they want. And I want to see gaming developers, happy at their jobs and having enough time and staff to actually get projects complete. But when things go wrong financially, things start to cascade down, and it's inevitable that they're going to start having all kinds of problems. They're going to start letting people go. They're going to start cutting costs on games. Projects may get canceled. Who knows? I don't even want to start going that far into the future and thinking about that. So hopefully we can get something done as far as these, with laws getting created for these scalpers and these bots. Let me know what you think in the comments about all this. And also, thanks for everybody that has subscribed to my channel and who's liked my videos. Taking time out of your busy days to do that is, it's something I definitely appreciate. I know you don't have to, and I'll definitely do my best for anybody that comments to reply to you, so that we can engage in conversation, because I know that's what this is all about. So stay tuned for some more videos coming up and more gameplay videos as well. And I hope everyone has a good day. All right, see you next time.